All right, folks, got another Bible comparison for you guys. These two are actually the same Bible. These are both R.L. Allan ESV NCRs. That's the new Classic Reader's Reference Edition. And one's from Chant, one is from Charfleet. And those are the names of the binderies whom Allan has used. And Chant, the one on the bottom, so they used to use, and now they use Charfleet, which is the one on top. Now, I would give a disclaimer. The one on top is a first edition Charfleet. It's like they're mulligan. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and say it that way. It sounds bad. It kind of is bad, but I'll show you. But I'm going to show you the differences. I know they've gotten a little bit better. I haven't reviewed any of the newer Charfleet editions, but just going to give you forewarning. It's not even really a fair fight between these two. So let's just show you some of the similarities. Now the spine, I had them stacked up. You can see the spine is different. The Charfleet uses a larger font, a different spacing for the ribs. The ESV is about the same, and the Allan is about the same, but the spacing for the ribs is a little different. You can also see the underlayment used by Charfleet creates these little wrinkles in the binding all over it. Whether it's the front cover, back cover, spine, it just has wrinkles from where the editions opened. And that's where the underlayment decided that's the weakest point. So it decided to crease there, and it creates those wrinkles. You don't have that with the Chant. The Chant's a cleaner, better look. Now, granted, it's not really fair, but the Chant binding has a deeper grain of that Highland goatskin. Both of them are Highland goatskin. Both of them are beautiful, but this Chant has a nicer one. That has nothing to do with the bindery. Just a straight luck of the draw. But anyway, they both have the exterior tooled line around the exterior perimeter. And then the similarities pretty much end. Okay, so just give you some forewarning. I'm going to basically have to redo this whole binding from Charfleet. I'm going to redo it myself. I'm not sending it back to Allan. I'm going to do it myself because I know how I want to do it and I know how to do it. So this whole fold over is going to need to be pulled apart and re-glued the entire thing. Okay, and that's not a huge deal. I can do that. I'm actually going to redo these corners. Most of these corners are just hammered, not very consistent pleating. I'll try to redo them. The gilt line, you see how the gilt line has an inconsistent spacing between the fold over and the gilt line. Also, you have this wrinkling, like I was telling you, the underlayment. You have this wrinkling. As I roll my finger underneath there, you see how it wrinkles. It's just like if you have a paper cover, a paperback, and the more you open and close it, it has certain sections where it starts wrinkling. Those are its weak points. Well, that's kind of how this is as well. Also, in this hinge, you can see this is not a cut. That's a dip where this tab, the leather on this tab is either stretched or it wasn't mounted properly onto the block, but it caused a bulge to go that way and it created that dip. I'm going to probably end up taking this block out of this cover, fixing the cover, and then when I reinstall the block, I'll fix that tab issue. And also these end sheets, super thin, and they show everything. You can feel every little bump, inconsistency, everything is it's almost amplified. So that's going to change whenever I redo it. I'm going to put a thicker cardstock end sheet that probably actually match the color a little bit better. But again, this underlayment causes these wrinkles. We have issues with the gluing. You have inconsistencies with the gilt line. So let's look at the Chant and just see how they compare. All right, so the inside of the Chant, you do have some wrinkling, but I've used this Bible a bunch, but it's still nothing like what you found in the red edition. And also, a lot of that comes from the grain. That grain, like I've got my finger on a grain boundary right there. And that's where that grain boundary is. So a lot of this that looks like wrinkling is actually that grain giving way on the other side. So I don't want you to look at this going, well, look, it's got wrinkles. That's from the actual grain on this side. So that's not the case with this one. This one, that's not from the grain on the edge. That's from the underlayment. So, and you can also see the gilt line. The way they install the gilt line is right on the border for that that fold over. So it's going to be super consistent, and it makes the fold over more consistent. Where you see how this fold over slopes slightly, slopes down, and it causes this weird shape around this corner. The Chant binding doesn't do that. The corners, although this Chant, I've seen better corners on other Chants, this one's still pretty good. You have a slight issue up here with one wrinkle, but even then, you really can't tell. The corner work is awesome. And this end sheet is slightly thicker than the red, and it masks any issues with glue. It makes it look much smoother. It feels smoother. There might have been the same exact amount of glue, same everything used, but this one, it's less evident because of the slightly thicker end sheets that were used. It's just a thicker paper cardstock. Now, one issue, they did cut, and I've seen it on a few Chants, they cut the end sheets slightly short. Not sure why they did that. I'm fine with that. It really didn't bother me. I'd rather be a little short than a little long and start curling in the gutter. But Charfleet didn't do that. They cut them exactly long enough. It just is it needed to be a better material, a little thicker material. So they both have the 3 Beresford ribbons. They both have the white head and tail bands. Head and tail bands are white. Yeah, I just said that. Whatever. You can see the printing on the Chant is going to be a much smaller Highland goatskin, and on the back it'll be a much smaller Allan binding. It's a much bolder. It just doesn't look as sleek on the Charfleet. Maybe it's just a preference thing. It just doesn't look as clean to me. All right, now look, this is one cool thing I want to show you guys. These blocks, like, they're really similar. Now, granted, that one has some white out on it. That's because I bought it used, or actually traded for it used. I want to show you something. This is what happens when you just keep buying Bibles regardless. This is a Chant binding produced probably in 2015. This block was printed in 2015 with the 2011 text. Notice that this is the second printing of the year 2015, printed by Youngblood in the Netherlands. Okay, second printing of 2015. Just remember that. Chant was the second printing of 2015. You have the same introductory materials in the front of the Charfleet binding, and what do you know? This was printed the second printing of 2015. What? And this was sold last year. Last year, 2018. They're still being produced right now and sold right now from Bibles Direct in 2019 with this same 4-year-old printing 3 years after the text update. And people complain, but the only way you're going to get Allan to actually produce the right text is to quit buying the old text. Quit buying the 2011 text, and you'll stop justifying them selling the 2011 text. Anyway, just want to point that out. Same text block. The bindery, Chant bindery, did a pretty good job on the art gilt. It is not perfect, but it still looks pretty good. And in the right light, it looks like a similar red to the cover. It's not perfect, but it's not terrible. Now from this vantage point, it looks really inconsistent, but it's just not in just real life. It's just not as bad as it looks on the camera. It looks more clean. It looks darker. I actually like the way they did it. I like the darker red, especially for that crimson cover. Now the Chant bindery is, it looked good. It looks so good. It's just smooth. That color is fine. I like the color, but every Chant I've ever seen, it's just a smooth coat, smooth color. And even no matter which way you turn it, it looks smooth. And that's that's one of the differences. Now the gold gilding, it's hard to compare. This one's pretty nice. I try to keep them in really good shape. Really good gold gilding on both of them. Quite honestly, can't really complain about the Chant. I do like the signatures are more impressive on the way they did the signatures on the Char Fleet. Again, it's the same exact block, printed the same year, same printing. So it's really not a difference in printing. It's a difference in the bindery. All right, so the only other thing I can really show you guys is the back liner. Again, you have just a really simplistic Allan binding printed in really small. I just like how they did it small. It's super understated. And the smaller you imprint, the more fine-tuned you have to be on your temperature and your pressure for your imprinting. So that just shows how impeccable their quality control is, that is not blurred, that's not smeared. You have just that nice clean line. The corner work's amazing. So that's why people love the Chant. That's why people love the Chant bindings. And when you look at the back of this Charfleet, it's just bulky to me. That the gilt line is not thick and it's inconsistently spaced. Honestly, the block placement's a smidge off. You're a little low right here and a little high up here. But I'm going to have to fix all that again. Like I said, I'm going to have to take this whole fold over apart and re-glue all of it anyway. So now that I'm just a smidge miffed at the whole Charfleet binding anyway, because I'm going to have to redo it. But I think that's pretty fair comparison between the two. Now, granted, again, the Charfleet, I believe, have improved with their latest editions, and the Chants are no more. So be sure that if you have a Chant, try to hold on to it. And if you can get a Chant, you'll probably be happy you did. But if you want the 2016 text, you're just going to have to be happy with what you get from Charfleet. So thank you guys for watching. Be sure to subscribe and click the notifications bell for whenever I upload new videos and content. And anyway, take care. God bless.